gold! Voice. There, I think it's on now. Hi, Internet. My name's Todd. We're going to play some Dungeons & Dragons. Hey, Uncanny Tree 368. Thanks very much for saying hey. So we're going to play some Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Todd. I'm going to be the Dungeon Master. And I got some people waiting in the wings. We're going to intro in a sec. We'll give you a quick update. We're on episode 45. 45. This is officially the longest campaign I've ever run. And it's the first time I've ever done it by module. So I'm excited about that. I think that's reversed. But anyway, this was a homebrew, and we now turned it into Descent into Avernus. So that's kind of fun. Oh, hey, how's it going? Thanks, Butler. Thanks very much for the follow. So tonight we are going to dive back in. It's been a little while since we played together, so we're going to do a quick recap, relatively quick recap, of where the players are at in their journey versus Zariel, the Archdevil. So let's go around and meet the table. Also, before I forget though, Internet, you get a say in how things shake out. What I mean by that is you get to spend some plot points. And so we incorporate ideas into the game either as soon as possible, like immediately, or we put it in the queue and we work it into the game. And so far we've got a pretty good batting average, I think, for that. And we just love, I love the creativity that comes from our viewers. Now, for those of you catching it after the fact, we also put it up on YouTube and on various podcast places. So like Podbean, Apple Podcasts, blah, 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 blah. So thanks very much to those people tuning in after the fact and listening. And if you want to check out the backlog, we've got some great stuff. Our homebrew, just for those who are trying to catch up, our homebrew turned into Descent around episode 20. So we had some pretty good, like, solid, established characters before I sent them all to hell. All right, so anyway, enough out of me. Please, more out of you, Internet, wherever that camera is. There it is. So please, more out of you. Feel free to say hey, and we'll work in as best we can. And now, without further ado, let's meet the table. Hi, everybody. I think you're on.
Hello.
Ah.
Hello.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, unfortunately, Carl couldn't make it tonight. Although it seemed like maybe Yaufen might jump in and play him. So in the meantime, Carl gave us permission to slaughter his play his character. So we'll introduce him as well as if he was here. Anyway, so all of you work on your best French accent, Quebec French, of course. I believe it's a section of Montreal. Shout out to Montreal, by the way. We love listeners from all around. Anyway, so let's go around the table. We'll start up here with Darmita, Bela, playing Darmita.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bela, and I am playing Darmita, our sort of friendly, not so friendly Gloomstalker. And she's a fallen Aasimar, and she's found her mama. So we'll see how that shakes down for her.
Yeah, we found out exactly how fallen she was. Turns out her mom is a, apple tree, and the tree was in hell. So her mom it was a fallen Deva alongside Zariel. So you've run into her in hell as a potential ally. But she is, of course, puppeted pretty strongly. So we'll see how that shakes out. I believe she has agreed to help you in exchange for thoroughly distracting Zariel. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's keep going around the horn, around the other way. Darcy.
Hello. It's me, Darcy. I am playing... Wow, I have a name. Henrietta Pedersen, the pacifist, Paladin of Palor. Which is really hard to do in hell, because everything wants to kill you. And you're like, well, I should probably deal with that, huh? Probably.
It's tough to be a pacifist in hell. That's fair. But hey,
Yeah.
all the more temptation. That's kind of fun. Ooh, and yes, this is where the pick is from. Thank you, Uncanny Tree. Yeah, that's the other off game or out of character help that Darcy's been helping us out with the variety of art. So quick plug
It's
for
been so long since I've been any art for this show.
But hey, the art that you have done is still featured on our scrolling stuff here. So thank you for that. And also, you tend to stream some other stuff out. So I knew you had a Blades game going at one point.
I did. You can still find that on my my YouTube. All my links are in my about. If you go to my Twitch, twitch.tv/DarcyBits.
All right. So yeah, and I'm on the wrong screen for that, but there we'll splash that up there. Art by Darcy Bits, and so check that out. Ooh, there's Darmita's mom, who's got it going on.
She is.
All right, and there's Falurie. So your character Henrietta is back and reunited, and it feels so good with the next character, who is Gordon's character. And if you want a little backstory with that, that's all the way back at episode 1, back when we played live audio only. That was fun. All right, so that brings us around to Gordon. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks. It feels like it's been a while since I've played.
It has been. We did some shadow runs, and you didn't make those games, but you're always welcome in the shadow runs, just so you know. But
yeah, thank you. It's
real life is a thing.
Real life and stuff, yes.
So tell us a little bit about... yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm playing Fenris, a human shadow sorcerer. And since arriving in Avernus, has gone through a number of trials and issues, and it's going to be interesting to see where he might take some things.
Oh, just a quick thing. It was like a 45-second clip that I really loved. The conversation between you and Darcy. It's up on YouTube if you want like a quick, like the fastest recap ever of their moral dilemma. And it was juicy gossip. And then you've also got another thing going on, so you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I'm working on a game called Lost Ones, a board game. We kickstarted it in the fall, and it's launching later this year. And also working on expansion.
Nice. Yeah, because you hit all your stretch goals and all that jazz. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then there is the cadre of people who could not be, characters who could not be with us because of the big bad scheduling. But of course, there's Archibald Cunningham, who is no longer with us, at least no longer with you. And then there is, of course, Ben Kum, the fallen Goliath barbarian, but not quite yet fallen. We'll see how it all shakes out. We also have someone who couldn't be here today, was Carl, due to, real life. And Carl, we welcome you back, and he plays a Falurie, the Aarakocra monk. And he's given us...
to redo that picture. Like, she's blue, not yellow. And just every time I see that, I'm like, it's such a quick edit. Why don't I do this?
You're welcome to. We got a couple hours together right now. As the rest of you can see, we also use Roll20 for our visuals if you're watching the game live. And just a quick reminder, if you're watching live, you're welcome to take part in the game. All right, I think... is there anything that you guys want to mention? That where we left off, or should we just dive right in?
I mean, depends how much recap we want to do, right? If we want to just start and explain as we go, sure. If we want to talk a little bit about what happened last time, because it was kind of a big session last time.
It was pretty epic.
I think in a nutshell, it was we freed. Well, I'm just gonna call him K. For now,
because
Big K.
Yeah. K's a bad drug, so we'll call him that.
Yeah, no.
And we freed him. We made, I think, a pretty valiant attempt to keep up with him. I marked him.
That's right. You cast a high level hunter's mark, so you can keep track on where he goes.
Yes, I did. Very high.
And as the rest of you picked yourselves back together,
we lost him.
Yep. And he just went racing on. You guys had just
and
freed him.
so I think that's kind of where we left off. Is like,
There's one other really important thing that
Yeah,
happened.
there is. I'm hanging with an old character, Zeet,
Oh, right.
and Henrietta in tow, and we're on our way to find the Veiled One.
That's right. At the end of last game, you saw this Lemur who was ready to be fed to the Demon Lord, and it just turned and it called out to you, particularly Fenris, and said, Fenris, Fenris. And I love the fact that you put it together based entirely. I don't know how you did that because my voices are not that good. But to be fair, I only have like 4 of them. So, and then next thing you know, boom, there was this, former imp, but now a lemur who begged you to spare him, and he in turn wished to take you to his mistress, the Veiled One, the Succubus that you knew from way back. I think that was like episode 10 or something like that. Not even.
Yeah. Pre-descent. Actually a thing that happened. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So that is pretty much where we left off. You're all rocking back and forth, and you're in your infernal machine, the soul coin fueled infernal machine, and you're rattling along on your way to wherever this devil is telling you this this succubus is residing. So I think we'll pretty much pick up right about there. And with that's all I got. All right, so let me just pull up the map for us. Normally I have like a song or something. Let me do that. There we go. So you have now left the pit, the deep trench in which Kustash was imprisoned. You are busy winding your way across, dodging the firestorms and the dust clouds of ash, soot, and sulfur as you wind your way across the hellscape, following the directions of this twisted, bulbous, fetid lemur that Fenris is insisting he recognized. What do you want to do before you arrive? Not far now. This way. No. This way.
Zeet, what state is the Veiled One? Not...
She is, diminished in scope, humbled, but she fared better than I did. They sent me into the sticks for fleeing and betraying the Eye.
Okay, so she's not like a lemur like you.
No, she is almost herself. But here again, she does not prefer.
Listen, Zeet, we had a deal before, right? She helped us and we helped her. Perhaps we can come to a similar arrangement when it comes to our mutual enemy.
Yes, she will be most happy to see you here, old friends.
Sure. I will warn you, no funny business with you or her. If you're leading us into a trap, being a lemur is going to be the least of your worries.
No. Zeet is not eager to be humbled again.
All right. Just remember what I said and we'll take me to her then.
After a short while, your Aarakocra scout, who's been up flying above, keeping pretty good pace. You have to slow the vehicle ever so slightly, but the hellscape is pocked and treacherous to traverse anyway, so you can't go at full speed across the plains. So your Aarakocra scout is able to stay in front of you, and after a little while, lands in almost like a 3-point stance on the front of the magic school bus, as you're calling your infernal machine, and almost landing right on top of where Darmita is busy running the controls. I'm going to just a little a bit of housekeeping. How is everybody in terms of rest? I forget where we left off with that. Do you
I was
need a
gonna
rest?
ask if I was gonna ask if I could take a short. It's not gonna do much for me, but like
You could absolutely
I'll take
take a
it.
short, no
I'll take what I
problem.
can, right? Yeah. All right. I'm gonna spend what I got. Oh, this isn't calculated properly, is it? Because this is my total hit dice, but it's not doing the multi-class properly, so I'll have to manage those better. But I will do that.
Okay, awesome. And Henrietta's rocking a bit in the back, and your horse kind
Yeah,
of
Henrietta's
nudges
keeping
you.
very much to herself. Yeah, sort of just stroking the horse's mane.
Your horse
Celestial horse.
does not super enjoy being in the back of this, and when you're there, you spend a good deal of your time calming your celestial steed, which is loaded in the back of what is essentially a large, deeply stained cargo and scavenge vehicle with quite a large hold in the back in which you've got most of your group and kind of some tarps stretched out over it, or possibly hides of something that you're hoping wasn't sentient. And that's keeping most of the ash out of the back. But every once in a while you catch a good cinder up the sniffer and cough.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Darmita, do you mind doing either a survival check or a just straight up agility check? Either one, and it is your favorite terrain, so.
Yeah. No advantage, right? Just regular, normal.
It is actually with advantage. By the way, what you're hearing is the mad cartographer. I don't know if it's playing over your side of things. The mad cartographer. The mad cartographer bumbling away from I believe, Fenris had the map last.
Oh,
Sure.
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know why. All right. I'll re-roll
sure.
just to see if I get a nat 20. I don't think I will, but
22 ain't bad.
yeah. So 20. I'll take the 22.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you you're really getting the hang of this infernal machine. In fact, how do you feel about this thing? It is not the most agile of vehicles, but it's got some kick. It goes faster than horseback for sure. So short of flying, it's the fastest you've ever moved.
Yeah, I feel like Darmita at this point now has sort of been navigating this thing for a while. And I feel like with her personality, she's probably, I can just kind of picture her like roaring along, like, yeehaw, let's go.
Nice.
Like, I see her, yeah, she's just really intense, goggles on, going forward.
You grabbed a pair of the goggles
You
that
know what
used to
I'm
belong to
saying?
the Kenku, pick out a few feathers, strap them
Total
on,
Mad
tighten them
Max.
up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
total Mad Max scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
absolutely.
like, just dust going everywhere in her path, and she's just like, "Bah."
And it is
I
an
could totally
oversized
see
steering
her.
wheel. Like it's a ridiculously made
Oh,
of
of course.
bone, and you're just like nice.
Yeah,
Every once
I
in a while,
totally see her doing that.
yeah, Darmita Road Warrior, absolutely, Yelfin. Hey, welcome back to the game. Don't forget, we do need some suggestions when it comes to Falurie. Just saying, Yelfin. All right, so you guys are making
I
pretty
do
good
have a
time.
question, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In terms of Darmita, how long has it been? It's really hard in game versus out of game because it's been so long out of game. um, between, so I don't know really how long it's been in game since the last time she checked for her commune.
You haven't done that today. It's a once a day check, so go ahead and make a D6. And it doesn't mean you have to do it right away. It's a recharge. Custom ability.
Yeah.
It recharges, I believe, is it on a 5 and 6 or just a 6? I don't remember.
You've been saying it's just a 6, but I'd be absolutely okay if you made it a 5 and a 6, because man, I have been
Also,
absolutely
in terms of
sucking at it.
RP, you first got that ability before you'd actually talked with your mother, and then you went to the crypt of the Hell Riders, and I mean and you had a very long chat with her, and so I would say you're closer to her than you were before. So I'm gonna say it recharges on a 5 or 6, and yet the dice do not love. No love from the dice as I look over and see the gleaming 3. So
Motherfucker. All right.
you close your eyes and you start to concentrate on it, and then this massive boom boom pothole, and it just knocks you out of your kind of concentration as you almost felt a whisper in your mind, and then it just fades.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, it was worth a try. All right, so meanwhile, uh, Falurie has now landed next to Darmita and calls out, there is something up ahead. Oh, wow, that's a terrible French accent. I'm sorry, Carl. You slow your vehicle. Hey. So you slow your vehicle, and you can see as you come crest over one of these hills, and pitch off of this rock that kind of jolted Darmita. You look down and you see, it's a little surprising actually. It's almost like everything else is this blasted hellscape of twisted, ruinous, fetid, cracked soil and bubbling ichor and occasional lava streams and like bursts of superheated steam pressing its way up through some crack in the dirt. And then there in the valley before you, maybe about 500 feet ahead, and the dust and the ash is still kind of clogging the air a little bit as you look. It clears a little, and you see a small section of a keep, a castle, a worked stone in front of you, this broken building, partly still standing, and you see verdant green vines crawling across a few of the stone faces of it. You see, when the dust clears a little bit, you see this tufts of grass and even some flowers growing around some like a cracked pillar pushing up through the dusty plain, or half buried, just seems resisting this hellscape. Oh, not quite untouched by it. It is definitely a ruin, and yet, um, 3/4 of it still stand, almost like happening upon an old, half ruinous church or fallen medieval building. Just poking up out of this, and around it, there seems to be certainly the most luscious of gardens you've seen in hell, which doesn't say much, but it's green and it's growing.
Hmm. So this is her new domain, Zeet?
She spends some time for as long as the oases last. Come. You should let her know. We mean no harm, no weapons.
He turns to Darmita with that.
Keep them low. She is skittish. with the warlords raiding from time to time.
When he looks at me and says that, I just kind of turn and kind of hiss at him a little bit.
All right, so you pull the vehicle closer. You're going to go further on foot, or do you want to pull right in?
I'll defer to Fenris.
I think we could park it and then continue on in on foot, like park on the edge.
Sure.
All right, I'll pull it in.
All right, so you pull in, and the dust settles, and the vehicle falls silent. And it's been a long enough. It's been about probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. So anybody who wanted a short rest during that time could have. You could even take one if you needed to. There, Darmita, because you could have spelled off with Fenris or Falurie at some point to drive the bus. So you find yourselves oddly, your ears almost ringing in silence from the vehicle shutting off and the thunderous engine fading away into the background. Before you see this almost small oasis of calm, almost peaceful, in front of you. The stone walls. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so as the machine stops, I notice that, and I probably come out for the first time to see this that you're about to describe. Go ahead.
So you see, it is still standing, but its roof is largely fallen in. There may be a section or two. It's oddly reminiscent of where you actually went to meet her the first time. A ruined, small temple of a sort. This one could have been a noble's house. It could have been a section of a larger manse, but no, there's no sign of the other sections. And this would have been part of a beautiful garden with a walkway, and you can see cobblestones kind of piercing through the dust layers in a few places. You see an outer gate, and we just dropped somebody. So hopefully Darmita's not going to need to do anything important. Oh, here she goes. She's back, I think. Nope. All our cameras are...
Partially back. Just needs to return the camera back on. That's okay.
Okay. No worries. No worries. So,
Damn it.
It's all good. It's all good.
You're
Internet's gonna internet.
Sorry. I hope I didn't screw the cameras up.
No, it's all
They're
good.
back.
It's all good. We're back. Hey, internet, we need a word from our sponsor. We don't actually have any sponsors, but if you want to suggest any in the comments, yeah, a lot of people having internet issues. Absolutely, Finn. Yep, it's almost like the internet hates us all.
Thing.
So anyway,
It's
so you see this broken partial building, and you can see the main face here, and there's again large windows that would have normally looked out over this garden, and you can see on the inside of this wall, very little green and growing on the outside of this small wall, kind of wrapping around about again 3/4 of this, and just on the other side of the wall, you see a fairly robust garden. I mean, around the edges, it looks like it hasn't been watered in some time. It's definitely drying and suffering in the heat of the hells. But nonetheless, you do see some green growth here and there, and some climbing vines, and it's got a sense of quiet and peace to it that has generally eluded you since you came here. I see that, Yuff, and I'll break that out in a bit. All right, so what do you want to do?
I mean, just like initial seeing this, I think Henrietta has to say something like, "Wow, I never expected to see something like that down here. I can scarcely believe it."
Yes, yes. It is hard to find. Precious. The mistress likes such places.
So you have a contact here, Fenris? And then...
Yeah,
Where we
like I
coming to off
said,
of that?
Darmita and I had a one-time deal with a succubus named the Veiled One. And we joined forces against, the Paladins of Pelor. So, Lord Commander Alstron. And, anyways, maybe we can strike up another alliance against the Eye of Pelor. So, Zeed, why don't you lead the way?
Mm.
And
This way. This way.
we'll join you.
He
I'm going to
kinda-
use my Pearl of Power, by the
Okay.
way, and convert those 3 into sorcery points.
That's a good
Absolutely.
idea.
Yeah.
And I will lead my horse out if we're going to be walking.
Sure.
Mhm.
Your horse is happy to get out of the vehicle.
Yeah, we're going to go to a cool green place.
It's not too big. It's probably only about maybe 100 feet, like from side to side on the outside, and the actual
Whatever.
structure is probably only about half of that. So you go following this limping lemur back out towards this structure, and the lemur begins to call out in Infernal, which most of you can understand. And he's like,
Mistress, mistress, it is okay. It is I, your humble servant, Zeed.
he's met with stony silence, just the wind blowing. You get a little closer and kind of walk inside where the kind of the ring wall is around it, and it's easy enough to sidestep through a pretty big hole in the side of it, and your horse kind of nuzzles down and sniffs at the green growing grass. It's pretty dry, but your celestial horse does take a little nibble, and then
Yeah, I
immediately.
don't even. It's a.
Gags
I have no
a little
idea
bit.
if it eats.
It doesn't,
honestly.
but it's mostly out of. I mean, it's
Spirit.
a celestial creature, but it does sniff the soil and tries a mouthful, and then kind of doesn't try a second mouthful.
Sure.
But it doesn't seem to suffer any ill effects.
Yeah, I think I'm just leading them. I don't think I'm actually riding. Cause,
Right.
You know, it's just.
Can I get a marching order, please? No reason.
I mean, I'm following because I don't.
Yeah, I'm probably in the front.
You're introducing. You're
And-
doing introductions.
Yeah, I'm probably like right behind Zeet. But I want to be fairly close to the Paladin, Henrietta,
Fair enough.
and her aura.
Where do you want Falurie to be?
So I was gonna say this. I was gonna whisper to Falurie to hang back and come in as backup if things go south.
All right, so you look up and you see Falurie circling above the Aarakocra, keeping a careful
Healthy
scout
distance.
out. Yeah, eyes
Yeah,
on the
but can
on the
come in
distance.
quickly.
Exactly, and an ear down towards you. Darmita, whereabouts are you?
I'll actually be walking right next to Fenris. I've
Alright.
dealt with her before. She knows I'm there, so yeah, I'm not gonna try to hide or anything. I just walk right up.
We're marching 2 by 2.
2 by 2, including the horse. All right, so you go on in and you can see around to the side there are these beautiful, ornate, almost so old it's petrified wood. You see these beautiful, ornate wooden doors opening into a section of the building it's missing its roof. You can tell by looking through the windows. You can see the sky peering through and the light playing around inside. But there are doors that seem to be operable. And you walk up to them, the lemur kind of looking around and motions you forward. And you open them up, and you.
Before we get too
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
far, you said this place looks kind of like a church. Like, is it actually a church? Like, can I
It's
like,
more.
recognize architecture things or anything? Or
It's not religious, and you can buy this one. You don't have
Okay,
to roll.
cool.
It doesn't seem to have any religious iconography. Well, actually, you can do a religion check for me if you want to.
I'd love to. Where's religion? There it is. 21.
That's pretty good. There is some script and some decorations in the edgings around the windows and around the door. It doesn't. It bears. Do you speak Infernal?
I do not, but I do speak Celestial.
You speak Celestial. So imagine if Infernal and Celestial had a baby. Okay, so you can catch a few similar imagery and script kind of. It's almost like you recognize a couple of letter shapes, but no words. And it definitely seems very
I'm gonna pause for a moment. We see one of those like movie shots, right, where like everyone's walking and the camera's following, and then I like take a minute to stop, and it like the camera stops for a second, and I'm looking at this, and I don't know if this is gonna work because previously I had tongues cast, but I'm gonna try and think into the helmet and see if the voice can understand me and like translate this. I'm gonna be like,
Sure
you
thing.
still hear me?
So,
What does this say?
I would like you to
Or
roll.
can you read this? I guess or something like that. So I don't even know if I'll be able to.
I would like you to roll a percentile dice, please.
Percentile? Wow. That never happens. 48.
There is a strange garbling sound in the back of your head, almost like a migraine coming, bubbling up from the back of your mind, and then it gets pushed down with this clear, clean tone, almost of a strange kind of horn blowing in a distance. Then you hear, it's hard to describe. It's almost a voice. It's almost like the impression of a voice. And you get a sense that you are very close to losing this connection. But you do have a connection to something celestial from your helm. You can't. Now, can I get you to do a wisdom saving throw, please?
I would love to make a wisdom saving throw. One of those things you'd think I'd be proficient in, and I'm not. Wait, no, I am. Sweet, never mind. All right, that's 16.
All right, not too bad. So you managed to shake off the buzzing in the back of your skull enough to focus so you could hear it.
Okay.
And now Darcy's going to tell me nope or yep.
You see, this place was once near sacred. This place is the envy of the realm.
That's what it said. The script
Is it
said
purely,
this place
like-
was the envy of the realm.
Okay. You said the script says that.
Yeah.
Do I just know that, or am I like hearing that?
You
or am
do
I
hear that
hearing-
voice just in the back of
Okay.
your of the one side of your helm.
Is
the
that
celestial
like
side.
again like is that voice that I'm hearing in celestial and understanding, or is that a voice that I'm just understanding the intent of?
You actually
Can I
do
recognize
hear
the
it.
language that voice is in, or is it not in a language? 'cause
It is in
tells that?
Celestial. The voice is in
Okay.
Celestial, translating for you. And the
Cool.
wisdom save was basically, could you shrug the effects of the dual-natured helm?
Right. Yeah.
For those,
I mean, it was funny, right? Like as a player, I was trying to use the dual natured helm to read this weird combination text, right?
Yeah,
But I can
absolutely.
only really communicate with one of the two, is what it sounds like, which is interesting.
well, no, you've communicated with the nastier side of it in the past.
Oh yeah, I mean like at a time though.
Yeah.
right?
The nastier side, I believe you had to cast tongues on yourself to understand, as it spoke
Yeah.
only in Abyssal.
Yeah.
But you do understand Celestial, so this voice comes echoing
Right, of
through,
course.
and
This
then
is
begins to
infernal
fade.
anyway. Abyssal didn't even get it, did they? Didn't
No.
even think about that.
No.
Yeah. So I like freeze up for a moment, I guess, and then notice everyone's moved ahead, and I like hurry to catch up, so I don't have time to think about it.
Absolutely. All right, so you make your way inside, and it's almost like an old a hall or a celebration or even a dance hall. You see this smooth wooden floor, bent and buckled in places. Underneath where it's broken apart, you just see the dust of the plains as though it's been poured in, yet somehow this has risen back to the surface. There are sections that are missing, and there are sections where this wood is polished smooth and clean, except a fine layer of dust which is most recently blown across it. You look around, and there are some broken statues in a few places. You see what was once probably a beautiful chandelier, which you've seen a lot of. Some of you have seen elven architecture before, where it almost grows seamlessly together. And this seems along that way, but it's made the columns of perhaps marble. It's hard to tell. Grow up into the supported ceiling, which is missing in many places. But the basic skeletal structure of it extends back towards this one section, and it is holding this one chandelier aloft. And it's glittering with dust-covered gems and sconces, about 12 feet up in the air. The ceiling itself is probably a good 20 feet up, or what would have once been the ceiling. There are 3/4 of the walls are in place. The one you came through, the one to your immediate left, and then opposite is half broken, and it kind of wraps around the other way. So it's almost like a little corner of this building has just been sheared away. The place appears to be empty at the moment. You seem to be the only people here.
I'm gonna scan around, like see if I catch any movement. I
Yeah.
don't want to call out because I know Seed is already calling out.
Mm-hmm. He has kind of fallen a bit silent, but yeah, you go ahead and do a perception check for me.
Henrietta is trying to keep up with everyone, but it's like the like sort of slow, methodic steps because she's also like she's not thinking about her surroundings. She's just kind of walking to keep up.
Terrible. 7.
Now
I'm all,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bela.
I was also doing the same, looking just kind of around the room, scanning for her or anything.
And you rolled a 19. Nice, Bela. Okay, so let's deal with Fenris real first. You're looking around, and Fenris, you're keeping a close eye out, trying to find the Veiled One. And you're taking in this beautiful hall, and there's something almost like a little itch in the back of your mind, just tugging away off to your left. And you turn around, and you see on the wall, kind of due left of where you entered, you see a doorway, and it's in the style of a waygate, but it's just plain stone behind. So you see the archway of a door, and it is exactly like all of the waygates you've ever seen drawn by your parents when you were training in your cult. And that kind of throws you off a little bit. And so you kind of stop taking in the rest of the room. Meanwhile, Darmita, as you're scanning the room, you clock all of this stuff, and you kind of look upwards towards the hellscape sky, and it's just roiling and dim above. And then you catch a slight twinkle of light off of the, almost like a fluke reflection off of the chandelier. And you see a small reflection of a face, as though something were right next to the chandelier, up 12 feet in the air. And you look where the reflection should be, and it's not there. And you look back and you see just ever so slight, this vague outline of see, with a 20 total, dirty 20, you do see leathery wings, but mostly see-through, and it's just in a few of the shards of the crystals hanging from this chandelier. You see this vague reflection.
I look at her and I'm like, hello, Veiled One. Come down and talk to us.
So there's an unfolding of space and the planes as this shadowy envelope of the ethereal plane just falls away from her. And you see her hanging upside down from the ceiling, from some of the broken beams, the hooks on the ends of her wings, acting like a bat's claws, holding her in place. And it just slowly lowers her legs gracefully, almost like an aerial silks artist, slowly lowering herself from this perch that she'd been hiding on. In the last few seconds, the wings release and she drops onto the floor, near weightless, touching down, barefoot, not wearing much. And she smiles. Her reddish hair, her long red hair, and her smooth, just flawless features, broken by a warm smile as she looks and takes in Fenris, Darmita. She gives a slight, ever so slight glimmer of curiosity towards Henrietta and the steed. And she comes walking towards you, arms down, unthreatening. And she smiles at you. And
During that...
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just finding the correct voice.
Yeah, so during that, which is only a few seconds, it sounds like, right, as I was catching up, and then once I'd caught up, I started, walking slowly just to keep pace, and I was concentrating inwardly on this new voice. And I'm saying something like, so there's two of you now? Who are you? And I probably, honestly, that's about as much as I'm going to get before I see this in front of me. Which they might still respond, I don't know, but I'm snapped out of my, not paying attention to the surroundings, too, as this, person falls in front of me.
Absolutely. So, as she walks forward, and one of the things that kind of jars you is she walks straight towards the celestial horse, slowly, calmly, hands down, and extends her hand out towards it, to let it kind of nuzzle up against your hand. And it shies away at first, and then kind of relaxes a little bit as she makes a soft kind of cooing noise, her voice just smooth as velvet. And she looks at you and says,
"May I? Are you asking me or for them?"
Both.
Up to them.
You are beautiful, aren't you?
She extends her hand, and the creek. You've had a pretty good read on your horse by now, and
Right.
it allows it, but with some hesitation as she begins to stroke its nose.
I'm going to pull a Levi here, or a Johannes, whichever you want to pull. I'm going to start to sing a soft hymn under my breath, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. As you kind of piece together what and who she is, her wings slowly becoming less bat-like and kind of relaxing around her, almost like a cloak, which she kind of wears even in this really hot environment. It's almost as if she's pulling modesty around her. She then turns and takes in Fenris and Darmita. I will take that as your counter charm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's nothing too like obtrusive, right? I'm not the kind of bard that's just like, it's just sort of like this sort of thing that fills the space but doesn't like overpower anyone. Yeah.
Absolutely. And she does know what you're doing. She looks at you and gives a little and then she turns to Fenris and Darmita.
And what brings you here?
Figured we'd get out of the neighborhood for a while. Yeah, go on a vacation.
That is out of the neighborhood.
We had a run-in with Lord Alstrin. We relieved him of his mortal coil. But in the process, a gate opened and we fell through. So here we are, and we've learned a lot since then. A lot more on the Eye of Pelor and your fate as well.
Yes. It sounds like your journey here was a little easier than mine. Although, I imagine there's more to tell. So, I see I'm being a poor guest, a poor host. Come. We can be more comfortable.
She indicates one of the doorways on the same wall as the archway that you noticed, Fenris, but there's an entrance to a smaller side chamber.
Okay.
So she leads you through, and you find your way in to a... it's essentially a large sitting room, and there is still furniture here, and it is old. It is extremely dusty, but it is beautifully made. Some of the materials you couldn't even begin to name. And she reclines on a settee and motions towards several others in the space. It's very discombobulating to have this beautiful sitting room, almost like Downton Abbey, dropped into the middle of a near volcanic landscape.
I'm just gonna, before I sit down, I'm just gonna turn to her and say, we found Zeet while we were completing an objective, if you will want to say that. We're here to see if there's perhaps another deal we can make, and then I'll just kind of glide and sit down in one of across from her.
Zeet.
Maybe we can come to an arrangement.
Oh, good. Oh, Zeet, come in. Oh, what did they do to you?
She goes over to this lemur and greets it warmly and nuzzles in the mucus and the scar tissue enveloping most of this creature. Doesn't seem to faze her at all as they nuzzle, and she greets Zeet again and kind of guides him over, and the lemur is just shaking happily at her touch. And she kind of sits on her settee again, and he crouches on the ground. And now he's not an imp size anymore. He's fully a little bigger than the average human, and with bulbous, strange proportions, and yet folds itself comfortably, as though almost like a lapdog, an oversized dog that thinks it's a lapdog, but it's actually too big. Kind of cuddling next to her, draping an arm across her, absolutely flawless skin. Exposing one of her legs as she kind of crosses it and looks around, almost seductive in a way of old habits and unintentionally just exuding this appeal. She looks back at the rest of you.
Oh, thank you for bringing him. They separated us. The Eye of Pelor was not pleased at my original outfit. My, little piece of paradise on the mortal plane I had going. Something about competition. Well, I was punished and dragged back here. I see you can see where I grew up. Trust me, I much prefer where you're from. They took most of my family and either destroyed them or pressed them into service.
Yes, they were going to eat Zeet. Feed him to a demon monster.
Oh,
Oh, it's okay. It's all right.
We plan to go back to where we came from. But on the way, we have some unfinished business. Perhaps we can help each other.
Yes. Yes, that could be excellent. Here, the power of the Eye is almost overwhelming. Escape is probably the best course. I can't help you directly with that. Let's just say my travel privileges have been revoked. Thankfully, I have a few markers with an old friend who outranks even Zariel. And so, my punishment is to wallow here. Fortunately, there are a few gardens I know of, and the Emporium. Parts of this place aren't too bad. Perhaps, if you do find a way, perhaps I could come?
Perhaps. It depends what you're offering us.
Well, I know the landscape. I know some of the players in this game, never-ending war game. I could arrange for some introductions, if you wish. Perhaps those who may serve you even better.
Since you mention it, what do you know of... Fuck, I gotta find the thing. Dragon Queen.
Ah. A five-headed, chromatic queen of the dragons, imprisoned in the lower sections of hell. She is inaccessible from here directly, but she has her loyal servants. I've met Arkan before. A fierce dragonborn champion of the Dragon Queen. He has a tower and several followers, as rumor would have it. You see, unlike the archdevils, I try to walk a middle ground. I have friends in high and low places. Arkan might be persuaded if what you are suggesting would help. Perhaps his quest to eventually free the Dragon Queen herself. 1 second. It's probably best.
And she holds up her hand for a second, and this shimmering light just hovers where her palm was, and then expands outward in this circle around you. And it's almost like just this very fine, glittering dust is hovering at about a 20-foot circle around her.
There. That should keep away any prying eyes. For a time.
We think that we have a way to unseat Zariel, perhaps. Or
Her
at the
eyebrows
very
go up at
least,
that.
yeah. At the very least, throw a big wrench in his plans.
My. Fenris. Aren't you the ambitious one?
Well, gotta dream big.
Be careful who you dream with. For not all will be as welcoming. But after all, we're old friends.
Sure. Anyways, we have freed Kostichi. Another piece in the plan.
I thought I felt something go charging by. My. He's been there a time. They've been torturing him a while.
Yes.
And at the mention of that, I'm gonna just kind of focus and get a sense of where Kostach is at this point. When she says she thought he
Absolutely.
went by.
So you kind of just recall on your journey while you're driving the Mad Max bus, and you saw these little scratch marks on, and you piece it back almost like flashbacks, like these scratch marks on the ground, this massive footprint, and you piece together that plus what she said, plus your spell just tugging you in a direction, and you get this quick flash in your mind of this massive, oversized giant that is the Demon Lord Kostach, and he's clinging and just clambering up rocks and leaping from one cliff top to another one across an entire valley. It's not a massive valley, but he's traversing what would otherwise be very difficult to traverse mountains. And every once in a while, he stops and just sniffs at the air, turns, and then just beelines kind of northwest direction from where you currently are. And then it fades.
So going back to the conversation, I'm just going to say, you must know that El Terrell is here and part of his designs.
I can't say I have a lot of love for that holy city. But as far as I can tell, it's the same old game. They need souls to feed their armies. in this never-ending war. The demons... How much do you know of this place?
We've gotten a little more familiar with this place since we've been here. Let's just put it that way.
I forget. You mortals are so short-lived. This is but a remnant. This place used to be beautiful. Once. It was the envy of all the realms and planes. Do you know anything of Asmodeus?
Do I know anything of his in character?
Roll Arcana.
Out of character.
Yeah, roll Arcana.
Arcana.
Or religion.
I mean, I think I have his face on one of the coins.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Would that be both of us? Is she
Ooh,
asking
natural
all
20,
of us?
25.
Yeah, she's saying this
We're
to
all
everybody.
hearing it, at the very least.
Yeah. Oh,
I
nat
assume she
20
is
with a
speaking.
25. Damn.
How
Asmodeus
is she
is
speaking,
the...
actually?
Sorry?
I didn't ask.
Pardon?
How is she speaking, actually? I didn't ask. She's speaking common?
Yeah, she's speaking common.
Cool.
And she's speaking out loud, even though she has the ability to use telepathy. She's speaking out loud.
Cool.
So with a nat
So I
20...
did the opposite roll.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Inversed. We're inversed. At least one of us is rolling well between us.
I feel like this is appropriate.
Darmita is just so distracted by the demon lord.
Oh, look, shiny.
He's going this way. He's going that way.
Somewhere, Darmita's like, what was that? I saw something fall. And overhead, an Aarakocra took a poop. And is
Well,
onto the
I
plane.
mean, if we do
Not on
want to
you.
be like, rules lawyer about this, this is relevant to your favorite enemy.
This is true. So you would actually have advantage on this because it is a fiend. Go for it.
You are
Although I
correct.
love the fact that it is a nat.
If you want to
nat
take
one.
another shot.
Yep, go for it. Meanwhile, with it,
We'll see.
we'll see what she rolls. I'm curious now. Come on, dice. Okay, I'm a little more average.
Yeah.
It was so distracting seeing the deuce, and then you're like, oh, okay. So you've heard the name Asmodeus. You know, Darmita. You know that Asmodeus is the lord of all the hells and resides in the lowest of the hells, and basically all the archdevils are beholden to him in some way or another. And in fact, each of the archdevils will have their own kind of cadre of servants and those who owe them and have made deals with them. But all of the archdevils swear allegiance to Asmodeus. And Asmodeus has been the ruler of hell a long time, as long as you are aware, Darmita. Fenris, you know a little bit about the hierarchy of hells, but in particular, you remember this story that your father once told. They trained you up on several different planes, including the hells. And you know that there were several fiendish creatures that rose to prominence in the hells after what your family called the... They used a term, and its meaning is basically the breaking, but it has more to do with the meaning behind, like, they called it the breaking, but it was more like that moment when you open a doorway, that opening. It's almost like a meaning of the opening, but in terms they actually imply it is a broken opening. So they call it your cult called it the breaking. And it predates the war of the betrayer gods. It predates the arcane gate, which blocks the direct influence of the gods, or at least not influence, but the direct intervention of the gods in the mortal realms. The breaking was ancient lore when your when your cult would be called into service. And so you know that Asmodeus was one of the original benefactors, amongst others spread across many planes, but they all would have been essentially clients of your cult.
I mean, I'll mention, when she mentions the name Asmodeus. I mean, I'll mention, many know that he is the lord of all the realms of hell, and he was one of the original benefactors of, and I'll just mention the Breakening, just to kind of drop it for her to know.
An eyebrow creeps up at that.
Oh. Not many know that. Did you know Asmodeus was a clerk once? A servant, like all the rest. The forebearers. Their names now stricken from time and recall. They were so proud of this place. Asmodeus, Avernus. It was the forebearers that invited other planar beings, gods, demigods, even mortals. And they came and they wondered at this place, this beautiful, verdant field, the fields of Elysium. A mere farmstead compared to the glorious plains of Avernus. The deepest verdant greens of our woods. Wondrous. Is the Feywild a wild, unkempt garden in comparison? Mortals and immortals all wish to be here, send themselves here, in life and in after. And for such a blessing, an agreement had to be made, a service bestowed to one of the denizens of this realm in exchange for a place here amongst the starfire blossoms and the emerald towers.
As she talks, she's kind of walking and looking out the windows, and you can almost see these memories as she's describing them and then just turning to ash.
Visits were arranged. Many flocked here.
And she motions towards that gateway in the corner.
The ways were busy.
A gateway? Just kind of when she motions to that, like, I just kind of say, a gateway?
Yes. These.
And she traces her hand just along the edge of the archway that you noticed. That leads to nowhere, is just a plain wall behind, but the arch outline. And she kind of traces her hand along it and says,
Yes. The ways, we called them. They were very busy. And mortal servants, the waykeepers, they had a task to keep these gates open and safe. Soon, however, some came. Some rulers came and became envious. It was the light, a part of what is now Pelor and the others, that drew. It came forth with a dubious offer of praise and peace. A chalice to unite the very planes themselves. How foolish. The forebearer accepted the great gift, shining like the heavens bottled. And in acceptance of the offered peace, took a drink. But the edge was sharp. crafted. Once cut, the tongue, the wound, could never be staunched. Much is forgotten of the forebearer, but they were great, and once the wound was opened, that very strength flowed forth, and the blood flowed, filling the palace, the seat of this paradise, running down the gilded steps, and the blood never ending. And the forebearer couldn't die, but the tide could not be stopped, and their strength ebbed away. The fields, the gardens, even the towers were all threatened. The lifeblood of a god threatened to drown everything. Many were lost. And in desperation, Asmodeus and the others hatched a plan, and with the help of a wayfarer, a gate was opened near a no spot in the plains. In their haste, a destination was chosen. And what better place to send unstaunching flow of blood than away and out into the darkness? And what greater darkness is there than the abyss? And once this gate was opened, the saving gate of the hells, the river flowed down and away, and the hells were saved for a time. And the forebearer for their folly were sealed away, and the blood flows still, and the husk remains unfit to rule, lost to time. And for a while, many thought the worst was behind us. But the blood of a fallen god has potency and a power, and it flowed into the dark, and something found it, and fed upon it, and grew, thirsty and mad. And that madness clawed its way up to the headwaters, and up to the source of the flow. And thus the demons clawed their way up and into the base of the river Styx for the very first time. And then they came up upon the banks, and the war was born. And we were overwhelmed. We were a paradise. I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover. And so, Asmodeus, chief among them, called for order and called to arms and raised all available souls to service in the army, and pushed back the abyssal horrors again and again. And so it goes unto today. And this blasted hellscape, the ruined plain and shattered fields, this is all that remains of what was once the envy of the plains. So you see, Avernus and all the other layers was not made by the ranks of the devils or their masters. It was wrought by deceit and envy of the very gods many of your kind call the makers.
Well, they're not my gods. kind of look over at Henrietta and just shrug a little bit.
Now, I'm being a poor host. Zeke, be a dear. Fetch me some wine.
And she motions towards kind of a small cupboard in the corner. Zeke goes and grabs up a bottle and some old glasses, brings it out.
So I've shown you enough of our plans. If you said it yourself, you're a lover, not a fighter, but you have vast knowledge. If you help us with what we're trying to do, you'll gain both in terms of getting back at the eye, but also to get back out of here. And so I don't know if I'm need to roll persuasion or anything like that, but I'm basically going to try to not reveal too much of what we know and do, but want to see what she can offer us in terms of advice, direction. And I'm even willing to let her know a little bit about, like, you know, some of the players, like, hey, you know, we know that Alstrin really isn't Alstrin, and that he's really you know,
Haruman.
whatever it's called, the Dragorgan Knight.
Yeah, the
Harmon.
Death Knight.
Yeah, Death Knight Haramund, and that there's also an Aranyes that has a crush on me, and we have some unfinished business with her too. So just kind of little, but I'm not going to tell her about the Bleeding Citadel.
Okay, that was what I was wondering. Okay, so go ahead and roll your persuasion check.
And when he does mention the double benefit to her, the latter of the two, Darmita's gonna bite down hard as hell on her lip. Not happy with it, but not willing to screw us over.
Dude,
Wow.
those dice love you. Oh, man.
That first dice didn't lie with me, but these next two did.
Holy
oh my
crap.
lord.
That is a
29.
29 total. Wow. Okay.
That's
wow.
pretty persuasive.
That is
persuasive.
That is really clutch. Wow. That's huge.
That's about as persuasive as somebody can be.
That's yep. That is pretty big. All right, let me just look something up here. I just need a total.
Wow.
Where's Succubus? I need Succubus. Where's Succubus?
Where the hell's the Succubus?
Where's that Succubus? All right, so she's in here somewhere. I swear to God, I'm gonna have to look her up. She rolled a 17, and
she's not with the demons or the devils. She's under S.
Oh, thank you. Look at that. Monster Man. Yeah, because Succubi
she's
aren't
not,
necessarily affiliated.
No.
They're considered purely fiends, just like
Eggs.
Yeah.
Forgot their name.
Rashaka?
Yeah.
Rakshasa. Yeah.
Rakshasa, that's it.
All right, so that's all right.
Sub-Show is a lot more eloquent than I was actually saying.
Yeah.
My character was probably way more
you
eloquent.
gave your and you
were an
played
actual
it
20 of eloquent.
super cool. Like seamlessly play it out. It's like you go into a car dealership and you're getting the extended warranty. Yeah, like that was clutch. And she despite quite a good roll on her part, she got what is that? She got 26.
Ooh.
So yeah. She seems very amenable. And there is one catch. And she says,
she's not going to try to sleep with me again, is she?
She smiled.
she smiles and she looks up at you and and she's nodding, and you guys are growing. Before you realize it, you're both quite close together at one moment, and she looks up at you and she says,
You're asking me to commit an absolute treason. And I believe in your cause. And despite myself, I believe you may be surprising enough to actually maybe stand a chance. But Golden Eyes, if I do this, I will risk everything. And my service to Asmodeus will only protect me so much. If I'm caught in this, I'll be lucky to end up a lemure. If I'm gonna risk this much, I'm going to need an assurance that if we get out of here, I can set up my own little community and know that you'll stay clear and allow me to help that community be happy. And you'd be most welcome to join it, if you wish.
I'll consider it the offer of joining your community. But when it comes to setting up your own little community, I think we can come to an arrangement on that.
by the way, she gets a good enough read that Henrietta probably wouldn't appreciate this and is doing this off to the side while kind of touching Fenris's arm and like pointing out parts of the plains that used to, over there. I used to. Yeah. So you can do a perception check, Henrietta, if you want to.
Well, I was gonna say if she's pulled Fenris off, is she gonna try and charm him while she's outside of my counter charm?
She doesn't actually leave that far. They're just a little bit off to the side, looking out the windows. But you might
I'll throw
get the idea.
Down. I'll probably fail it, but that's fine. 15.
You don't hear the words, but you can tell by the body language that she is trying to convince him of something, some kind of agreement.
She wants to be secretive. She just needs to start speaking in tongues. She doesn't know what I know. She doesn't know what languages I speak.
I mean, I kind of like slip
Do you want
a bit of Infernal.
Tongues? Okay.
I don't know if he's casting tongues, but I think I know if he was casting it. But I'm going to just slip in an Infernal, like when it comes, like Common and Infernal, and just say just enough to kind of let her know that I would begrudgingly accept her community so long as it's not in conflict with my aims. And then it's like, if we're not in conflict with each other and, we're not opposing each other, and especially if you're setting up your little community, where where our enemies have been, like, where the Paladins are, then I'm okay with that.
I mean, last time she set up in Nos Hamlet, which was just siphoning little farming communities away to essentially worship her. And I think it was Darcy who coined the term. It was not a blood cult, it was a fuck cult. Although she went a little far occasionally.
And so I kind of want to steer her away from just poor little farmers who are kind of, the common folk, because I feel for them. I'm thinking more of, be a little bigger. Go for where they want to be holy, and have your little fuck cult there, right? And that will serve my purpose too, because I don't like the Paladins, and they really need to like loosen up and get laid because they're too busy killing poor innocent people.
I
Mine.
couldn't agree more.
Right.
And I believe you may have mentioned something about Elturel?
Well, El Terrell's stuck here, and we aim to get them out.
It's a pity it's stuck here. I think we could have some common goals if I could maybe sway some of them. I'll file that away as perhaps a fun little bucket list. Nonetheless, I agree. And I'm afraid I seal all my deals the same way.
I'm gonna give you with that nat 20. You don't blush, but she is hot. Like, she's the kind of hot that's like, guys, girls, it's this overwhelming presence. It's not necessarily purely physical. And she's not trying to charm you per se, but she does ask you to seal the deal. Seal the agreement with a kiss.
Yeah. Do I know enough with the role that like didn't I seal a deal with her before? Or was that not the case? I can't remember. It's been so long.
It was actually Johannes's character that made the deals with her.
Yeah.
There was something involving you that he was trying to get to have happen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
okay.
going to. So I'm willing to seal it, but in the back of my mind, I don't know how to do this, but I'm willing to kind of almost be prepared to counterspell anything.
All right. You're like, got your fingers crossed behind your back. Kind
Yeah,
of,
like
no,
subtle spell,
not quite. You're agreeing.
counterspell.
Yeah. You're just ready.
Like I'm ready.
Oh.
Like I'm just ready in case she tries to like pull one last thing. If I notice that she's gonna try to charm or do something beyond a nice smoochy smooch kiss, then I'll look to counterspell. But otherwise, yeah, I'll seal the deal with her.
All right.
Why not? She's hot.
Yeah.
And it's been
a day.
been a day.
So you are standing in this beautiful ruined garden and looking out over the plains of the broken hellscape, and you just, like, a good 20-30 second long just kiss. Nothing like overly gross or passionate, just this almost surprisingly tender kiss with this succubus. And with that, I think we're gonna have the camera pull out as you're all able to hang out and do a long rest if you wish. And we're gonna go to take a little break.
Okay.
All right. All right,
Cool,
and
cool.
cool. Nothing like making out with a succubus. Cool. And thank you, Yaufen, and everybody else for watching. But Yaufen has a sponsor ad. Let's see.
We'll do it when we come back from break, right?
Oh, we'll do both. Hey, kids, have you tried log? It's big, it's heavy, it's wood. ADHD?
We can't hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Anyway.
We're going to go take a break. We'll be back in, let's say, 15 minutes? 10, 15? What do you want?
10 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, let's say 10 minutes.
I really need a tea.
Oh, absolutely. So, Internet,
I'm,
grab
like,
yourself a tea, too.
So tired.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so tired.
It's been a week. It's been a week.
It has been a week.
I
but
think
it's
we
a
could
long
all stand to
weekend.
Mac with a succubus. So go take 12. Let's do the nice even 12. Internet, we'll be back in a few minutes. We always recommend take recommendations and suggestions, and we'll be back in 12 minutes. Thanks very much. And now I have to find the break screen. Hello. Hi, Internet. We're gonna come back now. gonna continue our game, and I think they were busy selling their soul right proper. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's not that kind of deal. Or is it? Nah. All right, welcome back. Thanks. My name's Todd. We're gonna be doing some Dungeons and Dragons, and we're gonna pick up right where we left off, hanging with the Succubus. So you guys have a chance to now finally, after much being on the move pretty constantly, you have a chance at a long rest if you wish. She is not going to try to destroy you, at least you're pretty sure. She definitely tasks Zeet to keep an eye out, and he goes shambling. Every once in a while, he kind of forgets that he's not an imp anymore and tries to fly, and you can kind of see him like standing there, like half hopping, and then kind of shambling off pathetically.
Oh.
So who brings up the idea of resting is what I'm curious about. Like, does one of us say, "Ooh, this would be a good time to rest," or does she bring it up, or like?
Oh, well, she brings it up. She actually turns to you all and says, she takes in, like, you know, your battle kind of, you've got streaks of blood on you from your previous battle, those who were wounded. You just generally look a little bit worn. And she turns to you and says,
It's not the most comfortable, but it's about as good as you'll get anywhere around here. You're welcome to rest here in this garden. It's difficult to find comfortable places here in Hell. Here or the Emporium. I tend to spend my time hopping between the Oasis and the Emporium. So, if you need, I can arrange a safer, more comfortable place to rest. But you should be safe enough here if you choose to stay. Honestly, when they took all of my Cambion children and imp servants, it's been a little lonely. So, thank you again for bringing Zeke back to me.
I'll glance at Fenris and Darmita and sort of see what their reaction is. I assume it's pretty, pleasant, for lack of a better word. And Henrietta will let her guard down and stop the counter charm.
all right. After a little while, Falurie also comes down and reports, are you going to introduce me?
Sure, and I'll give formal introductions. Falurie, this is the Veiled One. We met a while ago and came to an arrangement that benefited us both, and we find ourselves meeting again, and once again made another such deal.
All right.
Well, I'm not
Nice to
entirely
meet you.
sure how much time we have to rest, but it is an opportunity that I could use.
So some of the building is still standing, and between your own infernal machine, which if you wanted to move closer, you can, kind of bring it within the garden. It is somewhat cooler here, so you will not have to. If you were on the open plains, you may have to roll Constitution saves. The DC isn't super high, but you've experienced that before, I believe. And regardless, that's me telling you now. But while you're here in the garden, it's not quite so oppressive. There is some food and there is some drink, and actually there is a little mistletoe bush that Darmita finds. So you can find some sprigs of mistletoe and replenish your stock for good berries. Because I run the house rule that the mistletoe burns out when you do good berries. So can you go ahead and roll yourself a d6? Actually, let's say 2d4. All right.
Okay,
So you get
6.
6 sprigs of mistletoe that would be useful for casting Goodberry. that's like 6 days of actual edible food instead of the terrible. Even if you bought rations, although most of your food has gone bad anyway.
Yeah.
So, good berries, they are plenty here, or at least can be.
Nice.
I will definitely take her up on her offer of a long rest, and while we're doing that, continue a bit of the conversation about the wayfarers and the waygates, and let her know obviously a little bit more about my people and kind of how our arrangement can come to a benefit to both of us.
It has been a long time since one of your kind has been here. I think you know that the Eye was hunting you, and anyone else who might provide easy, controlled passage between the planes. I never quite learned why.
Is that why he's been hunting me specifically?
Yes. There was rumors of one of your kind and prophecies involved as well. And, your people used to be numerous, residing in a multitude of planes.
She's going to roll an Arcana check and see how much she knows.
Nice.
1 sec, as I fix my map.
There it goes.
She don't know shit.
Whew.
With a 2. And she's just like,
Yes, I think your people used to help. Honestly, I had thought your kind extinct.
Not yet.
Well, I guess I will leave you to rest. If you need me, I'll be in here.
and she motions kind of to a secluded kind of chamber off to the side. And just at a glance as the door opens when she goes, you can see it's a bedroom. And it is as opulently furnished as she could manage, but it is still, she's squatting in a ruin. So, yeah. She's definitely not in the surrounds that she would prefer, but she's making do. And Yeet is now serving on her hand and foot, basically.
I think I'm going to take the rest, but not with her, but just, I've spent a lot of power. The only other thing I would do is take a look at that waygate, see if there's any runes on it, but beyond that, I'd be resting.
Sure, do an investigation check for me.
Okay. The luck could not last. 4.
No. Afraid that couldn't last forever. So
Nope.
that 4, it's really old. It might just be decorative, honestly. But she said that it was one, but you can get the sense it is severed now.
It's a
Or
mole.
it's nothing.
Okay.
All right. So you all can go ahead and mark a long rest. I'm going to assume you have some kind of watch.
Yeah, I think so.
Falurie takes a watch.
I think that Henrietta is sort of like, has been sort of apart, has sort of been keeping an eye on like that last scene that Fenris had, but like not like right up in there, obviously, but sort of, just being aware
What
of
you
things
doing?
and yeah. But she's thinking thoughts, but I think she's gonna wait to talk about them once we're gone.
Yeah, absolutely. And Darmita, what do you want to be doing?
Yeah, I think Darmita would take a watch, and she's just kind of really keeping an eye on the Veiled One and just kind of the scene around her, like it's not seemed like anybody else has been here, but she's just kind of keeping an eye out.
Sure. Can you do an insight check for me?
I certainly can try. It is not my strength. Meh. 16.
I'm muted. There we go. 16. That's not so bad. So,
Eh.
I mean, she is a seductive succubus who is a fiend, and is very deceptive by nature. But she seems, if anything, pleasantly but honestly surprised to see you all here. And you can kind of see her in the quiet moments, kind of racking her mind, trying to be like, oh, this might be good for me. This could be good. And it's like, okay. She seems a little more, hey, cat butt. Sorry, cat. For those listening to the audio podcast, there's a cat on the camera. If anything, she seems a little bit. She seems a little bit worse off than she is letting on, and is somewhat relieved to see you here. A little bit more than she's been letting on. And she definitely, you can see her clocking people in the quiet moments, being like, kind of getting a read on Henrietta. She's basically doing insight checks of her own, and on Falurie, and just kind of taking it in and kind of puzzling it over. One side note, just before you all say goodnight, and she goes off to her chambers, she does quietly intimate that
I myself don't have all that much power, but I do know those who do. I can do more than just make an introduction. Now, I don't recommend it per se, but were you to offer a deal, I can make arrangements with those above the pay grade of Zariel. If your goal is to get out of hell, honestly, darling, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you were desperate, I can put in a good word. If you want to make a deal. Beyond what we agreed. For more immediate help. But the price can be steep.
I don't think that's the price I want to pay.
That's fair. Honestly, I wouldn't want you to. At least not with anyone else.
she didn't say that ominously. It was more like flirtatiously, which is basically the same thing when you're dealing with a succubus. Uncanny tree. Yeah, that scared me. Just had hopped on your lap and you're like, did my camera turn on? No, we don't see you, Uncanny Tree. But thank you for joining us.
I just want to kind of give her the impression when I say that we're actually not that desperate. Like, we have some things going on in the works, but we want her help to keep things going. Absolutely. So we're not in dire straits to let me sell my soul to get out of here.
And with your persuasion check of a nat 20 with all that, essentially you do have the option for a devil's offer, which mechanically can give you a bunch of different things. If you want.
What is that?
Essentially, she can make a deal, which could include, obviously, gold or riches, the standard setup. She also says she could arrange a rare or uncommon magical item or a loyal service for a period of time, a short period of time. And if you want to make an acquaintance and a deal with an archdevil that is not Zariel, she could arrange that, which could be pretty huge. I mean, that goes all the way up to what are called archdevil charms, agelessness, basically a devil to serve you. What else? Having either a bigger devil or a smaller devil serves you. You can understand all languages. You get to kind of pick one or two of these. And there's a couple other that basically you can become. You get some powers if you wanted to. There's a couple of them.
And this comes from meeting with an archdevil.
She could arrange a deal with her, and she doesn't say outright who she serves. Well, actually, she kind of did intimate who she serves more directly. And she can arrange that, but that would be Hail Mary.
It's like arrange a meeting so that you can then make a second deal. Is that what that is?
She could arrange a meeting and get credit for that, and you would sell your soul to an archdevil.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
No, thanks. That's kind of what I figured. I'm not going to sell my soul.
She doesn't want that for you necessarily. She's quite happy with your arrangement to have you, quite literally. It's the second one in services. It's she'll told you about her kind of plan that she would love to orchestrate, and you have to do nothing to affect the outcome. That would be the deal of her arrangement with helping you down here.
Okay, that makes sense.
And also, in the conversation, we won't RP the whole thing, but she also says that she kind of let slip that she was going. It's a good thing you caught her, because she was going to go to the Wandering Emporium, where it's a bit more comfortable. So she's glad that you caught up with her.
And so maybe what I'd say is, we've heard about this Emporium a number of times, and while it may be interesting to visit, there's something we need to do first. And that's when I kind of mentioned the whole Sarnia and Benkum piece. Does she know where Sarnia is?
Benkum was with us. Sorry,
Yeah.
out of game. Benkum was with us.
Yeah, she knew Benkum.
With her.
She knows Benkum.
And she,
and
at
I
that
think she
moment,
liked
looked around.
Benkum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She looked around and was just like,
"Oh, so the big one fell. I'm terribly sorry for your loss."
He may yet live.
Interesting. I'll see what I can do. I know a few people, beings. If he is here, perhaps I can find out more. And this Sarnia, yes.
Do you know her?
An ambitious little fiend. Not particularly bright, but she is ambitious. She's definitely... Our paths only crossed a few times. She spent her time trying to work this angle or that, trying to get in good with whoever was in power. She used to serve Bela. He's not that far from here, actually. But, she went over to Zariel. Quite spectacularly, if rumors are to believed. And they usually are.
at that, Falurie is like, what do you know? Where is she? And,
Where is she?
They spend some time talking. I'll spare that. And she doesn't know where Sarnia is now, but again, she's willing to try and find out.
All right. is there any other help that she can, like, does she have any other help that she can provide? So Ixnay on the Archdevil kind of
Yeah.
sell her soul.
She
But
can.
is there any other ally that we can bring to our cause?
Well, she can point
Maybe
you in the
Belle's
direction
pissed
of
off.
Arkan's tower.
Yeah.
And
Arkan's
she doesn't
tower,
know
okay.
him well enough to arrange an introduction with Arkan, but one of his servants, she could probably. It might be best if she doesn't arrange the. Well, maybe actually, she could maybe speak to one of Arkan's servants and maybe arrange some kind of meeting with him, who is the servant of the Dragon Queen.
I guess the only
She can arrange a meeting with Belle if you want, the second in command.
I was just gonna ask about Belle.
Yeah.
In terms of what she knew of him, where he is.
She turns and
does-
points from where you are out over the plain, and you see a massive volcanic mountain just almost due south. And she points at that, and she says,
That spire, ever smoking, that is where Belle's forge is. If you wish, I could write a letter, and he would definitely grant audience. He is not entirely without malice. He used to run this place after all. But he definitely is not a fan of Zariel, although outwardly he does have to pretend. So,
Is he bound to her?
he is bound to Asmodeus, as all archdevils are. And he was demoted when Zariel came and pledged service. A high celestial such as Zariel was quite the feather in the cap, and her service definitely proved loyal and true, bringing in new recruits, fighting very voraciously against the demon onslaughts. So Zariel got promoted, and Belle is officially the most loyal servant of Zariel. But they don't spend much time together. And he would definitely be interested in finding out ways to reclaim, if you ask me. He would never admit to that in a public way, but he would definitely be interested in an audience if such a threat were real. And I'm sorry, as much as I'm impressed that you're all still breathing and in possession of your souls and are here, I am a bit worried that your ambitious reach may extend your grasp. I understand you've released Pistache, and that's no small thing. But taking on the Archdevil, they have magics protecting them, making them near immune. If you don't know how to undo such things, obviously one of those is a name, which you have. I would gladly give, but you already know it.
Well, there are some other things that we're following up on. Belle, maybe that is an interesting lead, because I don't know if Arkan has any bone to pick with Zariel.
Well, Zariel is the prison keeper for Arkan's mistress.
Oh. Interesting. So, who would you recommend that we meet between the two of them?
It depends. If you want to... one second.
She re-ups the counter surveillance spell, pulses that out.
Yeah, and so when I'll say that, I'll add to this. It's not just necessarily straight up defeating Zariel, but it's undoing what Zariel's done with El Turel.
Ah.
We think we can find a way to free El Turel, and that would definitely bring about a lot of failure to Zariel in the eyes of Asmodeus.
Indeed.
So,
that would be quite an accomplishment. So, do you have means? Zariel brought that there with a very powerful artifact.
we have a couple of leads on how to undo it, and perhaps Bel may be able to assist in that regard if Bel was part of the plan to bring El Turel here in the first place.
Oh, Bel's Forge is where that artifact was brought about. It could hold the key to its undoing. The companion orb has been Zariel's long game for some time. Once a blessing, in disguise. Now it's undoing.
Like a poison chalice,
Like a
or one
poison
with
chalice.
a sharp edge.
You're a quick study. I don't know the inner workings of such a powerful thing. But Bel would definitely know.
Kind of turn to the others and quick huddle.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Wait. When was? I assumed this was a private scene you were having.
No.
You were all, like, just
This is her
Like,
having a
separated
conversation the
to-
next morning with everybody.
Yeah.
this is the next morning.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I'm assuming you all had a long
Four
rest.
scenes I want to do.
Okay,
What?
that night then.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that night.
I don't have that many.
That's all good.
Wow, I did
We can do
not-
side
thought
scenes.
you
I
were
love
just
it.
Having a
Yeah. Do you want to do
a side scene?
I thought you were going to bed. Okay. You want to do a side scene?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Do a side scene, and then
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
come back to this.
Well, that's
The
what I'm saying. I thought this was happening before going to bed, and
absolutely. Now
like,
this
watches,
section
that's
about
a cool time to have scenes. Blah 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 blah.
yeah, this section about Belle, she's not trying to
Nothing.
hide that except to any eyes outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was planning on coming in after that scene, being like, all right, so that looks like that scene happened for a while. That gives me an appropriate amount of time. I wouldn't take that long, but I originally wasn't thinking I was going to have like a scene before sleeping because I thought we were kind
I
of
thought
just,
you were going to be
like,
quiet.
going
and
to do
yeah,
that. Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah, but this scene that just happened was the next morning, right?
We can do it either way. We can retcon that. Either just before bed or just after.
I don't know if there is like a period of time before sleeping that I can
Sure.
do some like
Let's cut to that. We can cut
helmet
back.
stuff. I'm fine flashing back to it because we should resolve the scene. That's better. It's just about am I part of it or not? Like I don't know.
I think this part is somewhat more strategic in nature. So I think everybody is you can hear that.
I mean, being able to hear. Okay, sure, whatever. I'm trying to figure out.
I would want to have this conversation with the rest of you. Like you would hear that the whole El Turel play and the
Mhm.
appeal it has to you. I would intentionally do that. The whole bringing
Sure,
up
yeah.
Sarnia for
Falurie.
Darmita and Falurie. I would do that intentionally. That's the point of me bringing it up.
This is a little huddle.
Right. I did sort of imagine that you were together, so that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out like when are things happening for the sake
Sure.
of order.
Well, we can do this before.
Well, your
Betty
ears
time,
kind of
so.
perk up at the mention of El Turel, Henrietta, and you do hear Fenris because he wanted you to hear the part
Sure.
about him. His goal is to undo the capturing of the city
Right.
and to therefore cause the fall of Zariel, or at least in the eyes of the feather in the cap kind of thing.
Okay. So before that happened, there was still like an amount of time passing.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah, people eat, they lounge, rest.
So let's do that actually, because it might inform how I react. Before proper sleep or after, depending on again time. It's weird. Maybe during watch. Who knows? I want to like try and communicate with this helmet again. Right?
Absolutely.
Which is unfortunately another like side scene where no one else is involved.
That's all right. So you're sitting there quietly meditating and humming and maybe a little song in your head. What do you want to say?
Yeah.
And to whom do you want to say it?
Well, I'm reaching back to the second voice, the voice I heard, the celestial one, to start. I mean, if I can reach to both at once, I will try. But I'm going to start there. Just like, are you there? Can you hear me? You're not the same as the one before, are you?
Can I get you to please roll a percentile dice?
I would love to roll a percentile die. I guess this is dice. 78. I can hear your scratchy sounds. Discord's trying to filter it out of background noise.
I wait.
Just say it. I'm sorry. You're doing a great bit, I'm sure. But...
It's filtering it up. It's the other voice, the non-celestial abyssal voice that you can barely understand. I mean, it's abyssal for the most part. Occasional words in common, just creeping through as this horrifying nightmare of an abyssal being. I don't even know if you know its name.
No, I don't. Yeah. So can I like understand it, or should I cast a spell? Because I could cast a tongue.
You could cast tongues.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, if I can't communicate, then I will. Because
You can't communicate without it. Not with this thing.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So I will cast tongues.
Sure, go for it. So you sing a little song or hum to yourself, and your mouth just vibrate. Your tongue is tingling with the energy of that song, and you hear that voice hopefully a little more clearly now.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yes.
So, are you the same? You're the same person? Different parts of you?
No. I want out of the dark.
Are you trapped here, or am I just speaking across space?
We're speaking in your mind, but I am clawing my way. We almost met. But your friend closed the door. What shall I call you?
You can call me him. Unless that's too informal for you. Was there another one of you? Are you both trapped in there, or...
I am not trapped.
I'm not sure how this works.
But this means of communication crosses the planes.
Are you aware of the other?
I hear a buzzing. gnat.
Is that metaphorical, or is that all you can make out? It's very important.
A whining, insignificant spark in the darkness. I want to eat it, but I can't touch it.
Well, I'm
You
not
may
sure what
call
your personal
me.
goals are.
You may call me anytime you wish. I will find you. And if I don't like you, I'll devour you too. Or your enemy, if you wish.
I was hoping that the two of you actually could work together. It sounds like that's not the way it's going to be.
I need no one.
But you know what I want, right? Something I'm finding few allies want.
Tell me, what is it you wish?
I want to redeem the Eye of Pellar. Free them from their contracts. Turn them to their divine position. Maybe not the same divine position. They seem like they kind of dropped the ball on that one, but you lose an enemy. And the other voice, I would hope, gains an ally. It's a win-win for both of you, right?
I care not for the other voice.
Oh.
They are of the other side. However, I could spare you, or those you care about, for when my hordes climb out of the abyss, we will consume all.
Sorry, you cut out there for a bit, but I think I get the gist of it. All right. Pleasure talking with you.
And the
Cool.
voice fades away. You were
Okay.
definitely talking to an abyssal creature of significant power.
Yeah.
Or at least, that's how it seemed.
Yeah. It's just a closet with a voice changer.
Yeah. Yeah. You pull back the
That'd be
curtain, it's this little
amazing.
green dude who's like, hey! Pay no attention to the
that'd be
closet
such
behind
a
the
good
screen.
bit. I'm gonna
Nice.
put that in my next game.
Closet
Only
with a voice
Henrietta
changer.
would ever want to make a Celestial and a demon play nice with each other.
They want the same thing. Come on.
They kinda do, but-
they're being brats.
It's a creature that's just like mad in
Yeah. No, I get it. Cool. Yeah, it's also like a better understanding of what is physically happening here, because I wasn't sure if it was like
it's not
a soul
not like
in
the
the
sh-
helmet. It's not. It's like a
No.
telephone.
it's
Weird.
it's that I mean this helm used to connect to Pellar or the celestial
Right.
realm, and it got corrupted by that gate that was being
Right.
used by a demon, which you don't actually know the name of. I was about to
No,
reveal.
I thought you were gonna say it and then you didn't.
know.
And I was like, all right, call
No.
me whenever you like. I'm like, all right, cool.
Hey, demons make deals too, but just not like not quite like devils.
Yeah. All right. Cool. We can snap back to
It really depends on
reality.
that dice roll. You get a 50-50.
No, yeah, I figured it out. I get it.
All right.
So,
So where's the next stop?
Well, that's what I was kind of leaving it, like huddling with the others, right? It seems like
You call
Bela
Hen and she
Archon.
snaps out of this.
It's like, hey. So it could be that the device that took El Toro here was forged by Bel.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's bound by certain terms, he obviously won't like the fact that he's been demoted. We may be able to find a way to, I don't know if it's the right word to say cut a deal, but find out how to undo what was done.
We're gonna
'Cause I'm
need
sure
to do
he would
that
like
to
nothing more.
keep
than
El Trail
see-
back, aren't we? Sorry.
I'm sure he would like nothing more than to see Zariel fail.
Mm,
That's what
I'm
Nishida said,
sure.
right? Like, just cutting the chains isn't enough.
No. Doesn't seem that way. What's that, Darmita?
Yes, I mean, he was demoted, but I don't know if that's enough.
The other
I
options?
mean, he's an archdevil. Like, I just, what is important to us would not be, I don't think, important to him. What we would think as revenge or vengeful, I'm not sure that he would see that as vengeful. I think we may. I could be totally wrong, but I think we should at least go in equipped with another angle. He's not going to help us out of the kindness of his heart because,
Definitely not.
Did you say
you know,
Bel crafted the orb?
well, his forge, she did tell us that
Mhm.
it said his forge is where it was originated.
Right. It's not exactly the same things, are they?
No, they're not.
I
You
think
can
that
ask
might
her.
be our best bet compared to helping Arkan free Tiamat.
I'm just saying.
That.
Wait, excuse me, what?
Yeah. So, I mean, those are option one. We can perhaps find a way to undo this companion by going to the source. And Darmita, you're very right. What he wants may not be what we want, but there's something there. Option two, we cut a deal with Arkan, but the deal will inevitably be something along the lines of freeing Tiamat. I think, like, that's, I mean, in comparison between the two, I struggle to find the option with freeing Tiamat, and the Veiled One doesn't really know Arkan, so we could be putting ourselves in a situation where we're gonna have to just fight again.
It may surprise you, but war between devils and demons it's not ours. So I'm not really sure if I mind cutting a deal, so to speak. What I worry about is if Bel crafted the orb, then any failing in its part is going to fall on them. If we take that down, no one's going to blame Zariel for it. Unless, of course, Bel didn't craft it. It was just made there.
I think that if we can find a way to undo the companion, but in a way that throws Zariel in a bad light as opposed to the craftsmanship of Bel, I think where Bel's interest lies in reclaiming his position.
I mean, logically, Zariel Belle is no longer in possession. She didn't outright say it, but how did it come into Zariel's possession in the first place? For him to use it in this way. So I understand what you're saying, Han, about destroying it would only look poorly upon Belle, but I think it would look poorly upon Zariel as well.
Enough for
If
Belle to want to help.
Huh?
But would it look poorly enough on Zariel for Belle to assist us in such a thing?
I don't think that.
I mean, if
From my
Belle wants to
understanding,
work, then great. But I wonder if maybe
But
it's just something for us to find personally.
there's a reason that Zariel used this item, whomever constructed it, wherever it was constructed. There is a purpose for him to have done what he has done. If we reverse that on his watch, that's his failure, not Belle's. Nobody else's. That's his failure. He was tasked with whatever this is that we aren't quite sure of yet. We make it so that's not happening. Asmodeus isn't going to be so pleased with, his most competent in charge.
No.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's my perspective.
I mean, if Belle sees it the same way, then great. Casting doubt on Zariel's ability isn't really my goal.
well,
It's just a means to an end, right?
I guess here's the thing. We have three options. We could walk away and continue to fight with what we have. We could, with the deal that we've made, either pursue the option with Belle or pursue the option with Arkan. And I'm not even going to entertain an option with another Archdevil to sell our souls. So the issue with Arkan is less leverage, don't really know what we have to give up, and this person probably just wants to free Tiamat. Okay, that's like pretty bad. The other has, as you said, a lot of risk, a lot of duplicity, but I at least understand it a bit more in terms of what we could potentially do and what Belle potentially wants. We can't cut a deal with this devil, but we could potentially find a way to allow him to slip us the means to undo this device that brought El Terrell here. This is a very direct way for us to free you, Henrietta.
Sorry, you cut out there. What was that?
This is a very direct way for us to free your people, Henrietta. Don't you want to take it?
Plan, isn't it? I think it probably is the best route. I'm not sure if it's we're gonna get Belle on our side, but we might be able to find something useful there. Regardless, this is a step in the plan, right? It's not all the pieces. Is this the first thing we need to do? Is there time pressure here? Like,
yeah, there is a time pressure.
Offer short-lived.
We don't have much time left, right?
No, we don't.
We have to bring someone back.
We have no time left. We have no time.
So we've got Koshche out. We could pursue this option.
It really depends where it is. Oh, wait, we know. It's just across the way.
Yeah. And
I'm
then
not suggesting we take a vacation. I'm saying other steps in the plan that need to happen first. I'll look over to Darmita. How much time did Nishida say we'd have for your friend?
You do remember you have about 8 days left to resurrect
Unless I'm misremembering, which
Lulu.
I might be, let's be honest. Everything we came here for doesn't need to be done before that, right? That's about contracts.
My understanding is that as soon as we bring our friend back, there's going to be a lot of light on us. I think
That's fair.
I think that what we should do is
We need to deal with Zariel first.
we can't
Yeah.
rely on
And-
this word.
That's
Right.
reasonable.
Can I just ask Todd?
Yeah.
At this point, when we're having this conversation, just being mindful of what my mother has told me
Right.
in our previous conversations. Is the succubus still casting the protection, the aura?
Not currently. That was only lasts for about 10 minutes at a time. She's just in the other room if you want to ask her to do it again, but she would
I would-
probably be privy to the conversation.
Six of one, half a dozen of another. The hills of eyes.
We
Um,
Darmita, we don't have a reliable ally with what we freed. I think we need to do one more, and then that's it. After that, we have to then go back to our main objective and finish this. But we have a bit of time.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you're right. This is the priority. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, well. All right. Well, there's other tasks, and I understand, and you have your focus and you have your direction, and that's fine for you. I have mine. Fenris has his.
If I knew where Sarnia was
And-
right now, I'd be right there with you. But I don't know where this fiend is. So, without,
It's not just Sarnia.
you know,
It's bigger now for me. So, I mean, you've got your eye that you want to do whatever with.
well,
Hen wants to free their town, and well, Falurie has a job to do, but there's other things so that I need to do, and some of those align, some of them don't. But right now, we gotta just keep on our path and not get sidetracked.
we're gonna have to have a longer conversation.
And with that, I just got a timeout for
Yeah.
a quick minute.
all good.
So
Actually,
pretend
I
I'm
was
here, but I'm
thinking-
not.
I was actually
Am I
thinking
allowed
this
to
might
turn
be a
off
good
my-
time to call
Actually,
it for the
call
night.
it.
What do
I
you
was
think?
thinking it's the same. Yeah.
It seems
I
like we
wouldn't
think
mind.
have a
more to
direction.
this conversation, but I think we have a plan.
All right.
So then
It's,
we're agreed for
I'm good
Bell.
with calling it.
All right, so we will we're going
Well.
to call it there as you spend the night
Um.
with the succubus, so to speak. And
to
you
speak.
look out that next morning having
Let's
this conversation.
spend the night together.
And you
I mean,
look
is
out over the smoking, towering volcano in the not too far distance that is Bell's Forge. And I think that's
Is that
what
the
we're
name
going to
of the
call it.
episode? Actually,
I'm sorry, go
like a
ahead.
night in hell. Is that the episode title? A night
Oh,
in
yeah.
hell with the succubus.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's turn it to the internet. So internet and players, if you want to help us name the episode, we'll let Bella go and do what she's got to do. Well, I'll still be here after if you want to still chat, but yeah.
Yeah.
So internet or players, we could use a name for tonight's episode.
A lot of times, the thing that happens right at the end of the episode is the only thing people focus on. But
Hi,
I think that line was
everybody.
really fitting. Just a night. See Bella.
Which one? Which
Night in
line?
hell with the succubus. I mean,
It is fitting.
that's the whole
All right.
episode, and it's yeah.
I would second that. Night, folks. I do not have a clue for tonight. All right, well, that's okay, Yafan.
Actually, you had something really good earlier, now that I remember.
That's true.
Yalpin, what did you say?
He said ADHD, adult attention. Hey, demon. Adult attention Hey, demon.
That might have been what I was thinking of.
But actually, I appreciate the seconding there for Uncanny Treat. It said it would certainly get us lots of views if we said a night in hell with the Succubus. All right. Well, we will be back here next Thursday, I think, for another D&D. If not, then we'll do Shadowrun as well. Adult attention deficit. Hey, demon. Well, I always love doing the two parts.
The night. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks very much for watching, everybody, and thanks for playing, guys. Good to see you again. And if you want to stick around, we can do a little table talk afterwards. But
Sure.
A quick reminder, if you want to catch up with our previous episodes, we have them all over the YouTubes, and we also have it on podcast. And a shout out to Virginia, who have been listening a lot more than before. So if you're in Virginia, feel free to drop us a line, or anywhere else. We're happy to chat and take suggestions, both in-game and off. Alf? That's not even a real word. And I guess kudos to everybody, and looking forward to your Kickstarter there, Gord. Or not Kickstarter, but your game. Lost One, so don't forget to check that out. And do you any more parting words, guys?
No.
Have a good night.
All right,
Fenris
thanks.
is gonna be like, "Ooh, should I do it? Should I not? I don't want to make Cambion babies."
Cambion baby
That's a lot of
alert.
responsibility right there, yeah.
No thank
You could be a Cambion daddy.
you.
Oh. Well, maybe that'll be next episode. All right.
Probably not.
Well, thanks very much, everybody. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Have a night.
Good night.
Listen to SideQuest Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. We try to record all of our games as much as possible, whether that's Dungeons & Dragons or Shadowrun or another tabletop role-playing game. Just a quick side note about all the licenses and copyrights involved. Our music is all Creative Commons attribution music on our live stream video feed or YouTube replay or Twitch VOD. We always attribute each individual artist, so be sure to check out those individual artist attributions. Lots of love to so many people who make their work available so that we can do what we do. So thank you. It influences our game. It makes it immeasurably better. So much appreciation for them. Let's not forget the makers of the games. Dungeons & Dragons is copywritten by Wizards of the Coast. They own it. They make it available to all of us to play, and it's wonderful. We are in no way affiliated with them, and nor do they endorse this podcast, but we are very appreciative. The other game we often play is Shadowrun, which is Catalyst Games. And again, we are not affiliated with them and they do not endorse us, but we really appreciate their game and we hope you appreciate our game. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram and Twitch and YouTube and watch for those live games once we're streaming them out. And of course, we do accept suggestions for names, so please hit us up on Instagram and name our stuff. All right, thanks so much. I'm Todd, and this has been SideQuest Live. We'll see you again soon.